Welcome back to Snodland Town TV. I'm with first team manager Luke Jessup. Now Luke, I didn't want to grab you on Saturday because obviously the emotions were pretty raw on the day. Luckily my luck is in today, you're here with us tonight. So thank you for joining us first of all. Can you give us your thoughts and feelings after Saturday's defeat and relegation?
One of a feeling of, I suppose, emptiness. Like a loss, quite a substantial loss of, it's almost hard to put into words, just ultimately a feeling of, I suppose, remorse for the club. I don't know what other words to use. Like, I feel gutted for the club, some very, very good people around it. I was at a funeral a couple of weeks ago and I've got that same sort of feeling inside, I suppose. There's nowhere else to put it.
So we spoke after the cup final, obviously highs to lows very, very quickly. And I think after the cup final, when we spoke, you said that you had long-term plans. You were the man for the job long-term if the club wanted that. Can you give us any sort of update on how you're now feeling after what's happened in the last week?
In simple terms, I love it here. We're not paid to be here. We do it because we want to do it. We do it because we feel that we can push this club forward. And going back to your question of the last 7 days, where we were with regard to obviously winning a cup final, like to be on an ultimate high, especially the opposition, and we knew what they were bringing. That obviously the way we played, the result, the 5 goals, and just when someone's screaming all the obscenities under the sun at you from about, it felt like about 2 foot away. It might have been 3 or 4 foot away. Then to go and obviously essentially punish a team, which I felt it was, you know, we took them to the cleaners. So that's again, it's that up and down, that high and low is accentuated massively, because when you've got someone screaming at you like for your blood, it felt like to then beat them, so you're up and down straight away. And then obviously as a manager, you know, straight away that game's done, and then it's like, right, I've got 48 hours to prepare for our biggest game of the season. Well, that's what it was billed as. And then to, you know, call it a hangover of sorts. I don't necessarily think the players, not many of them drink, these new players. But
most of them are too young, I think.
Yeah. But then to a hangover of sorts, like the players were all up for it. Certainly, you know, the day after, they were on a high. But for whatever reason, you know, and there's been a lot of whys, wherefores and whatever else has been read into it, it's pretty disappointing. So I've not got the result against Lydd. And nothing against Lydd, I thought they were the better team on the day. When we go 2-1 and we get the goal back, and they were down to 10 men, they then get the sin bin for 9 men. I thought our stars were aligning, because they were 2-0 up when they got the red. And then, you know, it just didn't work out. And not for the want of trying.
Yeah, we spoke about that on the day, and you were disappointed in how the players performed, having gone down to 9 men. I guess you wanted more from them at the time, and I think as a fan looking on, we all felt the same, expecting just a little bit more in those key areas. I think going forward though, having lost out against Lydd, we always felt, well listen, we got one more bite of the cherry, you know, and ultimately, I mean, on the day, their result wouldn't have gone our way regardless, neither did the Stansfeld game either. So we had to have a big performance on Saturday. The performance on Saturday was pretty much after 35 minutes, I think, game over really at 2-0 down. How do you try and pick those boys up at half time?
So it sounds like you was in on the team talk, but we actually used those words. You got one more bite of the cherry here. And I actually said that when I think one of their players went down, and I think Corinthians had just equalised.
I do remember you taking them all to the side.
Yeah, and I pulled all the players off. You know, I appreciate I was clutching at straws, but I was just trying to do anything it took.
Yeah, we all felt the same.
A couple of them were listening. I think a couple of them were probably present in the moment because for whatever reason. But ultimately, yeah, like I don't think we applied ourselves to the game individually as players, and ultimately fell short again, which was a bitter pill to swallow. Bearing in mind, a coach will always say, like, I'm here to coach you about your football, and I'm not here to coach your energy levels. I'm not here to coach your effort. I'm not here to coach commitment or anything else that you can associate with applying yourself to a game of football. We're here to try and grow, nurture, encourage players to be the best they can be and give them that environment. I just felt that maybe when you're trying to maybe coach someone's effort and the amount of running they need to be doing, question marks are raised. And that's sort of how I would probably leave that without trying to highlight anyone.
There's obviously a rebuild that's going to be required. I'm lucky enough to have been. I've come down to watch the reserves tonight and was not expecting you to be here tonight. No. So thank you for your time again. Yeah. It's really appreciated. Is there anything you can tell me from the meeting that you've had with the board today that I'm allowed to put out there?
So it's almost a real time.
It's not the exclusive, if you will. I'm
like
I'm
a real time.
If there's anything you can tell me that I'm allowed to hear,
so it's like a real time exclusive. We just spoke a minute ago, less than 5 minutes ago. We've been asked to stay on. That's the backroom staff and myself. I'm blown away. And I didn't come here today knowing what was going to be said. I was dreading it, if I'm perfectly honest, because I just thought they would have been perfectly within their rights to let us go. We've got their club relegated, potentially, the Lydd thing aside. However, I feel like we're blowing our own trumpet a little bit, but they were so, when I say they, the board, there's no point in picking them all out, but they said unanimously that what we've done for this club, or how we've come in, the energy, the vibes, the interactions, the way we conducted ourselves, the way we're getting more people into the club, attendances are going up, they even see there's a plan of football, there's all the things that they said that they've never had before. And, knowing previous managements that have been here before us, I think, credit to them, but credit to us, they want to keep us around. Like I said, they would have been perfectly within their rights to maybe move us on, but they obviously see something within us that will, take this club to a next level, in their words.
And you've agreed to stay on for that
season? Yeah. Look, I genuinely love it here. I think it could be my phrase. I could coin a phrase or make a meme out of it, but I love being here. I genuinely do. I spend a lot of time here. Bearing in mind I live over the other side of Sittingbourne, I generally like the club. I like the setup. I like the people. I don't even mind the pitch. Like, in the nice way possible, we're not bad on that pitch. We've had some good results on.
It's been massive for us sometimes, to be fair.
Yeah, so I don't even mind the pitch. Like, would I want a 3G? Well, we wouldn't change our way we played. And I know 3 or 4 other clubs that do not make any excuses for the way they play on their 3G pitch, and we all know who they are, and the way they just boom the ball, but they don't care because it's effective.
The 3G pitch, I mean, you showed us how it can be done in the cup final against SE Dons, playing on that 3G pitch. Is that something that maybe that we can look forward to in the future? Do you know what the plans are down here in the future?
You've got an idea. Firstly, I don't want to undersell or maybe say that we're an archaic management group that just booming. I only want to play football. Like, that's, put it on the floor and just pop it around. Like, that's how I grow up and how I was taught. And that's the only thing I'm really interested in doing. However, there's horses for courses. There's ways of playing this league, and probably two of them teams are just about to get promoted that play on a 3G but boom it, and don't apologise for it. And ultimately, I'd like to think that makes you a bit more of a rounded coach, stroke manager, that you can play what's in front of you. And don't get me wrong, I want to go and play football, and we can do it against SC Dons on an immaculate pitch, but sometimes it's got to be a bit more rustic, and I think that is only a feather in your cap as a manager. You've got to mix it up every now and again.
I'm interested to hear about that because, you know, we've only got a certain squad size, so there's not a lot of people that we can call upon. When you're playing on this kind of pitch here, and it's a grass pitch, it's a bit bumpy. When it's dry, certainly it gets a bit hard. Do you play a different way?
Undoubtedly, yes, is the answer. Having seen the previous 8 games before I got the job, I was coming here and followed Snodland around for 8 to 10 games, whatever it was. It was very one-dimensional, and that's not picking holes in people, but that's what the players have told me, that's what the board have told me, and that's what I witnessed. So it was a very one-dimensional way of playing football, and I think that needs to be adapted. So the horses for courses here is understanding that, and Sutton fell foul of it. Sutton want to play. I watched them a lot recently, only because our opposition was playing them, and it was a good way of scouting it. But Sutton like to play out from the back. They like to. It's all very sort of pretty around like the 2 centre backs, the 2 full backs, and that's how they want to play. And they all like to get the ball into their 8. Connor Evans, a great baller. But they try to do that here, and I think after they got caught out very early on, they realised that we can't do that. So whether that's an indictment on the manager or just people that maybe have got a belligerent way of thinking, I'm just going to play, or we're just going to pop it around and hope that we don't get caught out.
These are those trigger movements that you were telling me about in the previous interview, where you said certain players want to play a certain way, and you're looking for something. If a player maybe takes a mistouch, yep, or something like that, and then you go.
So exactly that, and we full well know that if anyone comes here and tries to play football, we're already primed and understand the triggers, that if the keeper tries to play it to the left or the right back, that ball's going to bobble a minimum of 6 to 8 times before it comes out from the goal kick. That's enough for us. So now we're already on the front foot and we understand it. So that horses for courses, where we won't do that, and most teams won't. But yeah, that's what I mean by that, and understanding that the players and the personnel is for what you're trying to achieve. So you bring maybe a more of a ball playing centre back. Maybe if we go away to a 3G, where we want to maybe give it to our centre backs and play out, or at least try to, but also understand where you are in the league, understand the opposition, understand where you can and can't play in. Ultimately, for us, that's understanding where you are in the game.
Okay, and last one from me then. You've given us an exclusive. You're likely to be here for next season, which we're happy to hear. How do we go about rebuilding or building on what we've currently got? We don't really know where we're at. We don't know what division we're going to be playing in yet because of the. I don't want to put too much emphasis on the potential 4-point deduction for Lydd. We know it's hanging over them as well as hanging over us. So how do we rebuild the squad for next season, not knowing what we're doing or where we are?
Yeah, and again, we've just had these questions with the board. All I would say is, let's plan. I know some people say let's plan for the worst and then anything else is better, but I think we plan as if we're staying in the league, get the preparations in place, for instance, pre-season friendlies, start talking to players or more players, certainly looking at budgets and stuff like that. This all comes into it, but I don't think a lot really changes, and that has come from the board, that regardless, these sort of things aren't that variable, so things will be set in stone now as if we're in Scaffold Prem or Scaffold 1.
So that's kind of showing their ambition, even if they were to end up in Division 1, that they want to give it a good go at coming straight
exactly
back.
that. And I was blown away with that, and what a great board to have that philosophy. And that's not trying to be blowing them up, that's a very commendable, I think. It's like that's the ambition.
That's all we want to hear, I guess, and so we look forward to next season, and hopefully in the Premier Division, time will tell. We won't know for another few weeks yet. From my point of view, I just want to say a big thank you to you for the access that you've given us over the last few weeks. I've set up the channel 2 weeks ago, and I think in that 2 weeks I've had multiple interviews with yourself, and it's been great to sort of get your insight before and after games. So I appreciate that, and long may that continue. Maybe into next season we can really try and do something here at Snodland Town.
Yeah, like I've always said, like happy, more than happy, and feel free to come in, get like the warts and all, come and listen to some of the team talks. I think when you're giving that sort of access and insight into what we're doing, I think it gets more people invested. Look, the language might not be pretty, but
we had some good stuff on the coach actually to the cup final. It was good fun actually, but no, it's all good. And
thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I appreciate your time, Luke. Thank you very much indeed.